What's going on, man? Good to see you.
You too.
Let's go. Joe Hamilton, let's go. Kim Gardner, let's go. Take a seat. Hector, Amy, let's take a seat. Come on, guys. We're going to get started. Let's go.
Come on, guys, have a seat. Let's get this party started. Hey, if y'all don't behave, I'm going to get the police over here to get you. Okay? So, everybody get a seat. You good? How's it going? What? How are you? Oh, we're okay. How are you, Mandy? Good. Mandy's good. Aren't y'all okay? Come on, guys, wake up. Okay, that's better. Okay, here's the deal. Who is coming to the sales meeting for the very first time? Hector is raising his hand. First time at a sales meeting. Hi, good morning. Anybody else? Oh yeah, y'all two come up here with me. Yeah, come on. Anybody else first time at a sales meeting? Where is she?
She's coming. Come on, Julia.
Come on up here. You were trying to hide, weren't you? Hey, this isn't hard. Y'all come in here. Come together. So Matt can get everybody's pretty faces except mine right here. Okay, so here's the deal. Real quick, who are you and when did you join?
My name's Oriana Cervantes and I joined today.
She has some famous parents.
I'm Jan Gates and I joined last week.
Awesome.
I joined yesterday.
Hey, give them a clap. Hey, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, as always, I have a fabulous quote, but I screenshot it. It's hard to read. Gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. The more you express gratitude for what you have, the more likely you will have even more to express gratitude for. So, this morning I want anyone who has something fabulous to share with us since the last meeting. You closed the biggest deal of your life. Somebody really helped you out in a tight situation. Anything that you want to share, we would love to hear and celebrate that with you. And I want to start because I want to thank Christine Cunningham. She's so fabulous. her place, and it's been incredibly challenging. And Christy was just instrumental in getting that done, and we are closing on it tomorrow. Okay, who would like to share? And remember, if you don't raise your hand, I will pick somebody.
My next door neighbor is being relocated, and I have not done a reload before, which is requiring a BMA. And so I want to thank Russ for taking time out of his busy schedule yesterday and walking me through that process, giving me all the details on this.
I want to say thank you to Emily Courtright. She reminded me about a class for T-bills, for treasury bills, and is teaching a class next week on it. You guys, if it's not on your calendar, it should be. It is super simple to set up, and it's a 5%-ish or more interest rate, and you can get it every 4 weeks. It's wild that it's an option, and I highly, highly recommend that class.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, who else has something to share?
I don't think she's here, but I wanted to thank Pam Anderson.
Just came in.
Oh, there she is. I have a buyer that Pam had approved back in April on a build job, and it's supposed to close in September, so she's been getting everything updated to prepare for the closing. And unfortunately, there's some old collections that have shown back up on her credit report, which now has caused her score to drop. But anyway, Pam was still at the office last night. The last time I talked to her, 8 o'clock, she was still at the office trying to work on this. And if you don't know Pam, she lives past Rockwall. So I just really appreciate everything you're doing to try to get this single mom and her 3 girls into this house.
Who else has something to share?
I wanted to thank Juan Torres and Laura Caldwell for working my open houses over the last couple weeks. We've got a listing over the Bluffs in Heritage that hasn't had as much action as we would like, but it will. It's gonna. I'm speaking it into existence right now, this weekend. But I just want to thank you guys for being there and doing those open houses, and we're gonna get it sold. It's gonna happen. Thank you.
I see Kathy giving you the eye.
No, it's Caroline.
Thank you. My name's Caroline Harris. I had the pleasure of helping. I met a lady who came through one of my open houses in Trophy Club a year ago, and she was on holiday. She calls it from Australia with her mom. Loved it so much, decided that she wanted to uproot her family, completely start over here. So I helped her all the way from getting an LLC, getting a bank account set up here with Bank of America. She came here like 3 months ago and said, I'm not leaving here until I secure a job. It took her 1 week to secure a job to get a work visa, and they sold one of their places in Australia, and we just closed last week in Trophy Club on their home here. And so they're working on getting the entire family moved here. So it was just the coolest thing I've ever done. So.
I'm Rochelle Murphy, and I just wanted to say thank you to the leadership and all of our ALC members who put together Mega Camp and our dinners, and for your continued support from our leadership, but also our sponsors who are never ending, with Supreme and Old Republic and Independence always stepping in and helping us out.
Thank y'all so much. See you next month.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily Courtright. I'm your culture committee leader, and I am really excited to be here today. We have a lot to talk about. Let's jump in. The first thing I want to see if Gary and Sherry Neal are here. Are you here this morning? Gary and Sherry are our culture spotlight of the month. And they have adopted an elementary school in Keller as of a few years ago. What they do, they make such a big impact to the teachers there. They arrange for lunch to be delivered to the teachers on the first day of school. They paid to renovate the teachers' lounge area. They bought books for the classroom so all the children could take home books. They provided lunch for the teachers on in-service days, and they provided teacher supplies. So they have literally adopted this elementary school. And they are reaping the benefits from it because they continue to get referrals from the principal and the teachers and their sphere. So this is a great example of somebody who is giving back in order to build their business. So I just want to give a big round of applause to Gary and Sherry for all of the things that they do for this year. Next, actually get out your phone because you're going to need it. We have a lot of QR codes to talk about today. So the first one is the Southlake Family Potluck. This is next Thursday. It is every last Thursday of every month. And the theme for this month is a back-to-school barbecue. So we have a sign up. It's a Google Sheet. You can sign up to bring some items. 12 to 2 next Thursday at the Southlake office. We have had some great turnout. It's been a lot of family, fun, fellowship. So please join us for our next Southlake Family Potluck. Next, I want to talk about Spokes for Hope and our Red Day event every year that we do in May. And this was this past year, if you were able to join us. If you're new, this was what we did in May. We built 250 bikes that we donated to Spokes for Hope. Now, we had to buy these bikes. We had to pay $27,500 to buy the bicycles. And we have to raise that money. So in order to impact thousands of lives in the North Texas community, we have to raise the money at our charity golf tournament coming up in October. So we're going to talk a lot about charity golf tournament today, but I want to show you, this is the bikes that we build. This is the big why for the bikes that we build. They go to Spokes for Hope, and Spokes for Hope is an organization that provides bicycles to our first responders, and we're going to hear some testimonials today because it allows the police officers and the firefighters to give out bicycles to children in need throughout the community. This was one of the distributions that I was able to go on, and this little girl actually got a customized bike through a sister organization called Ambucks. So she had never been able to ride a bike before. She was wheelchair bound, and Ambucks made her a customized bike, plus Spokes for Hope gave all 3 of her sisters a free bicycle. These are heartwarming events. And then this is another example in North Richland Hills of a little boy, a very deserving boy, getting a bicycle. But I want to bring up, because I have been working and helping Spokes for Hope for only 5 years now, but we have Kevin Mensch here, who's a retired Texas Rangers pitcher, outfielder. And we have Officer Justin Todd with the Watauga Police Department. So I'm going to let them give some testimonials for Spokes for Hope.
Thank you, guys. We won't take much of your time. This organization was started, I think, 18 years ago by a Southlake police officer and a Keller officer, Alton Wells and Mike Norris. And it started small in the Home Depot parking lot in Keller. I mean, we would have, I don't know, JT, maybe 25, 30 riders to start. I mean, we've got upwards of 100 plus now, the riders that come in from all over the country. And then all over the state as well. We probably have one of the best riders in the world here in the Metroplex in McKinney, and Donnie Williams. You guys never get a chance to come out. This year's rodeo is October 18th through the 21st at Cabela's. I just saw the date for the golf tournament, which is that Monday. So that is going to be a busy week for sure for us. And I don't think what you guys don't see with this stuff, these bicycles are given out. We give away 200 to 300 bicycles a year throughout. A couple years ago when the tornadoes went through Canton, through I think Burleson, those areas, west for the explosion, we took a convoy of bikes down to give these kids bicycles. We get phone calls from police departments about kids that are children of domestic violence that are uprooted and left, and they just call, we'll take a bike over, we'll find an officer in that city, take them over, take a bike over. Any kind of charities these kids need, the families that come out, I mean, you should see the smiles on these faces. We actually had a rider this past year from Brazil. He bought a camper and he and his wife and their son have been traveling the U.S. in this camper. And I wish I had a picture of it, of his son learning to ride a bike. And we gave him a bike last year, and he just absolutely loves it. And they were looking forward to coming back. He wants to come to Texas. So if you guys know of anybody looking to hire somebody, they said his resume is out there. If you have any questions, ask Emily. But like I said, you see the smile on these kids' faces. That's the biggest thing. Especially the Ambucks kids. Those bikes have to be perfectly fitted for the kids. They're very expensive too. They're not cheap. And like you said, you see what it does for the families and for these kids. It just gives them an opportunity to be involved. You know, these officers, and it gives a chance to kids to see the officers as well being around, especially a lot of the traffic guys. Anytime you see a motorcycle police officer, those guys are probably involved with Spokes for Hope. And seeing when those guys come to schools and kids see that, you know, they see a motorcycle, see a police officer, I think that's the greatest thing in the world. So anytime you guys donate and give to this stuff, it puts smiles on their faces, and it helps ingrain the police officers into the community, as well as, you know, first responders and everything else. So we can't thank you guys enough, especially for Red Day. That's a big day. You know, the station's putting together, I mean, what was it, 3.5 hours putting bikes together. So it's fun. We know it's hot, but like I said, the benefits are just tremendous. So I can't thank you guys enough. And I'll let Officer Todd give you something. Oh, you got one. Okay.
I got one. Morning, everybody. I'm Justin Todd from Watauga Police Department. I've been involved with Spokes, it's about 12 years now. So between riding in rodeos and now more planning rodeos and stuff now for motorcycles. You know, they really wanted me just to kind of give y'all an idea of us giving bikes away, so you can kind of see where your time and money's going. Just last month, we had an event at Waffle House there in Watauga, right off Route Snow. Our crime victims liaison works for 4 cities, us, North Richland Hills, Haltom, and Richland. And she brought well over 100 kids that all are victims of various crimes, and they all needed a new bike. So we set out in the terrible heat and gave away well over 100 bikes. They brought the trailer out there, and you know, the kids were amazed. We had a bunch of cops out there. And, you know, a lot of times these kids have kind of a bad view of cops right after a bad event. You know, somebody gets arrested, somebody gets hurt, you know, something like that. And it just allows us to get back in their lives in a positive way. So it kind of erases kind of what they've seen from us and puts us more in a positive light. That way they're not scared of us later. So, you know, I've given away mini bikes over the last 12 years. Just, you know, anytime somebody calls and says, hey, we need to do a bike, well, I jump on my motorcycle and meet them out there and we get bikes away. So it's a lot of fun. It's great to see the kids. You know, they love this stuff. Especially the handicapped children that need the expensive bikes, because their parents usually can't afford those. So if we can get those kids out and playing, it just makes their life that much better. You know, we can't do this without y'all's help and all of our other sponsors that we have. So that's really all I've got there.
And if you guys know of any charities, any community places that have kids that, you know, that you want bikes to give it to them, let us know. Talk to Emily. She will get the information to us. Like I said, we can't give away enough of these bikes to kids, and that's just the biggest thing. We always, especially during the rodeo, they have, we've had Mr. and Mrs. Claus come out and give the bikes with the officers and other items as well. So if you guys know of anybody, any kind of community outreach programs or anything that need it, just let us know. School districts, I mean, we've had kids have bikes stolen. We've gone out to Fort Worth schools and giving out bikes to kids that have had bikes stolen. So anything you guys can do to help would be tremendous. So we thank you guys. We won't take any more of your time.
Yes, thanks, Kevin, and thank you, Officer Todd. So this is an amazing organization. It helps local children all throughout North Texas. And I want you to think to yourself, how can I help? Because not everybody golfs, not everybody can be a sponsor, but there are so many more ways that you can help. And let's talk about the golf tournament and how you can do that. The golf tournament's October 16th. This is the site for registration. I also have the QR code back on the table by the main door. And our goal is to bring in 240 golfers and 30 sponsors. We also have a goal of 60 prizes. 60 prizes. because all of the donated prizes that we get, that money goes directly to our bottom line when those get donated to us. So let's talk about how you can help. There are lots of ways. Number one, we have a Facebook event, a public Facebook event, and that QR code is right up here. If you can invite, I'm going to challenge you to invite 500 of your friends outside of KW. So 500 of your neighbors, your PTA friends, your kids' friends' parents, 500 people in your sphere that is not with Keller Williams, because we need to get this message out to the community that this golf tournament is happening. If you know a golfer, we need golfers. If you know a potential sponsor, we need sponsors. I mentioned the prizes. This is another place where everybody can help, because everybody knows a small business, a business owner can walk into an organization and say, would you like to donate a $100 gift card? I have a donation request letter that I'm going to get out to everybody, and it's going to allow you to have a piece of paper with all of the tournament information, the 501c3 number, the request for the donation. So all you need to do is print out that paper and take it to the company and say, would you mind donating a $100 gift card? This is what makes our tournament successful, is when we can raise money from the golfers, the sponsors, and the prizes. So that is my ask. You have a checklist, and I really, really challenge you to pick 2 ways that you can help us this year. If you can fill this out, I'm going to help you keep you accountable. So I'm going to send you a little nice reminder that says, hey, you said you knew somebody that could golf. Have you reached out to them yet? Or if you say, I can get a prize, I'm going to reach out to you and say, hey, were you able to get that prize yet? Because I want to hold you accountable, and I want you to hold me accountable, because this isn't we have to raise over $30,000 so we can continue to impact thousands of lives, and I need everybody's help in order to do that.
I can donate 4 Rangers tickets next year.
Ooh, 4 Rangers tickets for next year. Thank you. I should start auctioning. What do we got?
Okay guys, so like Emily said, you'll have those blue sheets right in front of you, right? So today, if you fill out one of those blue sheets, we're gonna put your name in a drawing to get a free office bill. So you get a free office bill, but we need you to volunteer in one type of way over here. So let's everyone get out a pen. Who needs a pen? We can pass out pens, but we need everyone to fill out the sheet today, and make sure you drop it off with Emily. And give it to us, either or Emily or to us, because we need your help. Okay, so like Emily said, the golf tournament is literally 2 months away, right, Emily? 2 months away.
2 months.
2 months away, and we only have currently how many people do we have signed up right now?
So we have 30 golfers.
30 golfers, and the goal is 240.
Mm-hmm.
So we only got 30 golfers right now.
And we're at 4 sponsors.
At 4 sponsors, and we need how many?
30.
30. So we need your help, okay? So we're gonna be asking y'all to help us. All right?
Other ways you can help, you can sponsor a first responder to play in the golf tournament, or you can donate a bicycle. You can also donate a monetary donation. If you don't want to go out and ask for donations, give a monetary donation. We'll go out and we'll buy the prize for the silent auction and the different prizes that we need. I also invite you to join me at the golf committee meeting. If you're interested in helping me plan and put together, we have tasks big and small. So the next golf committee meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 5th from 1 to 2 p.m. on Zoom, and you should see an advertisement for that in your email as well. So let's go to the next slide. Culture does a lot of things throughout the year. This season is dedicated to golf tournament, so we do not have another culture committee meeting until October. So if you want to join us for culture committee, that is Thursday, October 19th from 1 to 2 p.m. because all of the meetings from now until then will have to do with the golf tournament. So please email me if you want to get involved with the golf tournament and you can't make it. We would love to see you at the culture meeting on Thursday, October 19th. And then let's talk about a few wealth items. I appreciate Alicia's shout out for my class next week. Everybody should be there because we all have money that is sitting in a bank account making nothing. And I was guilty as of the beginning of the year. I had a bank account that made 15 cents of interest, right? Wow. 15 cents, and it had thousands of dollars in it. And I'm like, this is not okay, right? We are going to talk in this class about safe methods to invest money that is sitting there until, let's say you're waiting to invest in a piece of real estate or waiting to make a bigger investment. Well, while it waits, while your personal savings, while your business reserves, while your tax payment for the end of the year, while that sits and waits, it should be making between 4 and 6% interest. And so if it's not, you need to be at my class next week. Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. in the training room. Next, I want to give a shout out to the KW Wealth Roadshow. This is my mentor, Brett Tanner. It's led by Brett and Gabby Brenneschultz. They are master investors. Brett is coached by Gary Keller himself, and he is an amazing teacher. I have learned so much from Brett in the past year. It has affected my entire wealth plan. And we have really built out our strategic wealth plan, which is what you're going to do at the KW Wealth Roadshow on Thursday, September 14th. This is an all-day workshop, 9 to 2, and it is going to be jam-packed with actionable items for you to take home. Build your strategic wealth plan, 12 ways to reduce your taxes, and they're going to talk about the flow of money. I feel like I get this question a lot. Well, how is my money supposed to flow? And that is what they're going to talk about at the KW Wealth Roadshow. Highly suggest it. It is $249 until tomorrow, and then it goes up to $299. So get your tickets. This class is normally $1,000. If you go to Austin and take this class, it's $1,000 plus hotel plus gas. So all the money that you save by not going to Austin means you can bring your partner, your spouse, whoever you make financial decisions with should be in this class with you. And I am confident it will sell out because it's here at the Mark. And I know that they are marketing it all across the DFW region. So I would expect it'll sell out probably next week. So get your tickets fast. Talk to MCA if you need to sign up. QR codes are here, and I put it on the Facebook post. So thank you. This was a lot for me. I appreciate all of you. Culture, well, feel free to reach out to me if you need anything. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are y'all doing today? Good. Come on, these should be a little bit louder than that. Let's go. That's really exciting. So, hey, I want a little plug for Spokes Ropes, by the way, and for the golf tournament. We've been a partner with this for at least a decade now, so as long as I can remember. And it's one of the greatest events that we do. We love doing it. And the really cool part, and I want you guys all to understand this, you guys are listening online, please pay attention. Every single golfer gets a free get out of jail card from Officer Todd for the Super Bowl, which comes very handy during football season. So it's a fantastic event. So hey, we don't want to take up much time. This is Pam Anderson. I'm Jason. Sean Bones hiding in the back. Sean wanted to make an announcement that we're still open for business, right? We're still open for business, just in case you guys didn't know. We've got two things for you here really quickly. So I've got the boring part. We keep getting a ton of questions about assumable loans. Has anybody had this question from a buyer yet? We're starting to hear about it, right? So I've got 2 or 3 just super quick bullet points for you. And if you want to know more about it, come see one of the 3 of us. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. So the first one is, this is for FHA and VA loans, okay? It is also, the greatest thing about it is you get to keep the interest rate from the seller. So when they got that super cheap 1.99 rate from Pam or Sean, it's probably 2 1/8 for me. But you get to keep that as the buyer, which is really, really cool. So that's a fantastic benefit to this program, right? From the seller's standpoint, they can go, their process goes through their lenders, so they're kind of kept up to speed on what's going on. They know how things are going. It is a fantastic tool for them to sell their home in this crazy market, right? If you can offer a 1.99 rate or a 2.5 or whatever they've got. Now, the big key to this deal though is when they go to buy the home, let's say the home is worth $400 and they owe $250. Pam, where's the money come from for down payment?
Oh, they just have a bunch of cash, right?
Exactly. That's the number one thing we want you guys to take away from this. So the seller has to get their equity out, which means that the buyer's going to have to write them a check for that. Now, there's some potential solutions on the horizon for that. We'll let you guys know as they come up. But that's the number one thing I want you guys to understand about this is they don't get the money for the down payment. They've got to cover that out of their checking account. But if they can do it, it's an amazing opportunity because rates are where now?
Let's not talk about that. We talk about affordability, okay?
That's right.
Okay, we don't
All
talk
right.
rates.
So Pam, how can we help with affordability?
Okay, so you know, you guys are so blessed with all the classes that you get here at Keller Williams Southlake. We deal with agents outside of this brokerage that do not get the education you guys get. So sometimes it's you telling the listing agent, like, hey, your house has been sitting on the market. There's still some great opportunities for buyers to save on interest rates right now. And we're all about giving all those options. Remember, the 2-1 buy down is still out there. 3-2-1, 1-1. I have 1-1-1. We're just doing it for a year.
What's a 1-1, Pam? They've never heard that.
Yeah, so your interest rates buy down a point for 12 months. Okay, so if we're anticipating, which let's all pray, that's fourth quarter of 2024 that we start seeing reprieve on rates, then it's going to get them pretty close to that point. Okay, so it's also, okay, we've got a down payment assistance program. They don't get any money for it, but if they pay a point discount, they're saving on average about 0.5% on their interest rate right now.
Over the market rate.
Over the market rate.
And a lot of people don't realize that, guys. A lot of lenders don't know you can do that.
Yeah.
So don't go share it with them, please.
Yeah.
Don't tell them.
We also have the permanent buy downs, but we also look at, okay, by the time, you know, however much they're saving per month on the base rate of buying down that new rate, how long is it going to take them to pay themselves back the money they just made on that rate, okay, and when they're going to refinance. So for me, in my personal opinion, is anything over 2 years, I'm saying that's keep the money. Let's just make that a payment over for you for right now, and then you're going to refinance, because I don't want you to waste your money on discount points. So again, if you are having problems getting a buyer off of the fence, there's still some creative ways that we can save them on interest right now. If the problem is interest rates are too high for me, I can't afford it, we don't spend interest, we spend payments, right, on dollars. So let's take the rate out of it and just look at payments. What can they afford, and is there going to be relief in the future? Yes. And with the property taxes being talked about in November, that will help a little bit too.
All right, guys, so the takeaway from this is we've got solutions. If your particular buyers aren't getting this type of consultation, please come see us. We'd love to have the opportunity. So, yes, ma'am.
I have a question. The FHA assumable loans, are those, most FHA loans are assumable, or are there only a small number of all of
FHA
them?
loans are assumable. And by the way, so is VA, and you don't have to be a veteran to assume a VA deal. Now, there's a catch. The veteran doesn't get their eligibility back when they sell it if you're not a vet. So it does not work for a lot of people. But I saw one just recently. Correct. But I saw one just recently where the vet was moving out to assisted living, didn't care. And it was the make or break on doing his deal. So very rare, but can be done. Yes, sir.
Question, on these assumable loans, is the seller completely released from the loan?
If they should be. And the answer is if they do what they're supposed to do with their lender, the answer is yes, because the lender will give them a full, complete release once the process is finished. Yes, ma'am?
Are some conventional loans assumable or never?
We've seen ARMs. ARMs
Yeah.
could be assumable, so there's some criteria that there might be.
The 99% answer is no.
Right.
But there's definitely going to be some quirks here or there, and there's some really old conventional stuff out there that might be still. But in general, no.
What was the question?
The question was, are there conventional loans that are assumable? And the answer is generally no. There might be some private money stuff that's out there, potentially like some of the ARMs. So last question, we got to go.
Yes,
Kathy's going to give us the hook.
How long is it usually gonna take to close one assumable loan?
So the question was, how long does it take? So it's the same process to get approved for an assumption as it is to do a regular loan, but the lender that's doing it is the servicer. And so they take a little bit longer. So we'd say 4 to 6 weeks is kind of what you should expect.
I would get the seller's mortgage contact in their assumable department and get on the horn. You're probably gonna have to do a lot of phone calls and find that stuff out. Find out how much their fees are. Can they use a second lien to, you know, pay for the equity to the seller? So you're probably gonna have to call them and find out what their process is, because they're all different.
One thing I do want to point out though, I talked to a bunch of second lien lenders just in the last week. None of them are doing it. They're having some issues with trying to get that approved. So that's part of the thing that we say, we'll stay on top of that for you and let you know if it happens. But as of right now, we've been told by everybody knows so far. So, all right, let's get out of here before Kathy kicks us or something.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, good morning. Can y'all hear me? Can we hear y'all hear me? Chris McDonald, ladies and gentlemen, I get to do the awards this week. Robbie's not here with us, so I'm gonna do my best to fill in. I will tell y'all, I was looking at my business card and I noticed something. I have reached a real estate milestone. I finally, no longer look like my picture on my business card. Wasn't that funny? Okay. Okay, little award music, okay? We do that. Kathy B. All right, first we're going to give the awards to the top 50 associates based on GCI, and they are all of these people right here. Let's give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to move into our awards for highest GCI team member award: Alicia Ross, Sherry Meredith, Doreen Puzon, Chris Hall, and Bonnie Billingsley. Let's give them a hand. All right, congratulations to the Listing Volume Awards. This is for groups. Number 5, Preferred Closing Specialist. Number 4, Southern Realty Group. Number 3, Tessello Team. Number 2, Charlie Brown. And number 1 team on the Move Team with $3,943,998. All right, now congratulations goes out to our listing volume for team. Number 5, the Bell Team. Number 4, the Hall Group. Number 3, Mickens Group. Number 2, Kevin Rhodes. And number 1, Bilberry Home and Ranch. All right, now the individuals for listing volume awards. Number 5, Michael Pyatt with 1.6. Carol Spratt, 1.9. Angela Puma, 2.5. I gotta say, I'm gonna brag right now and say, I was Angelo Puma's 6th grade social studies teacher. Is he here? Where are you? No, he's not here. Okay. Number 2, Sharon Hodnett at 3.8, and number 1, Julie Wells at the big $6 million. Okay, moving on to closed volume awards for groups. Number 5, Preferred Closing Specialist. Number 4, M&M Group. Number 3, the Mintier Team. Number 2, Dana Pollard. And number 1, Charlie Brown at $9.7 million. Wow. Okay, closed volume awards for teams. At number 5, the Bilberry Home and Ranch Team. Number 4, Inscape. Number 3, Darren Davis Group. Number 2, Kevin Rhodes. And number 1, the Kim Miller Group with $3.1 million. Okay, closed volume awards individuals. Number 5, Richard Noon. Number 4, Tom Schneider. Number 3, Angela Puma. Number 2, Maria Diaz Sierra. And number 1, there she is, at $2.9 million, Marcy Bartlemeyer. Oh, that was right. Go back for just a second. Look at that. $3,000, was it $3,000, right? $3,000 difference. All right. Okay, going forward. Okay, now we have our closed units for groups. And third place, M&M Group with 10 units. Second place, Dana Pollard with 12 units. And number 1, Charlie Brown with 19 units. Okay, closed units for teams. In third place, we have a tie with the Bilberry Home and Ranch Group, the Prangy Team, and ladies and gentlemen, the tallest realtor in the world, Jay Craig, standing up right here. Let's give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up, Jay. Look at that. There he is right here. How about that? Okay, second place, Darren Group, the Hall Group, and the LeBlanca Group. And then in first place, with 7 units, the Kevin Rhodes Group, the Kim Miller Group, and the Ludwig Group. Let's give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now moving on to individuals closed units. In third place, we have a tie with 5 units, Sharon Hodnett, Tom Schneider, and Jeff Hollingsworth. In second place, a tie with 6, Marcy Markemeyer, Maria Diaz Sierra, Angela Puma, and Mina Waba. And in first place, all by herself, Karen Gilbert with 9. Congratulations, Karen. Okay, then we have our $1 million awards, ladies and gentlemen. It's all of these people right here. If you're seeing your name on the list, stand up right now. Let's go. Come on, stand up. Let's go. You see your name on the list, stand up. Let's go. All right, we're not going to be slipping through the sales meeting here. Okay, are we going to do a slide? Okay, and then home run awards. There's 1 listing, 1 written group. One listing, 1 written offer, and 1 in July. And it's all these people right here. All right, stand up again. I'm trying to stir the pot here, okay? All right, then do we have one more slide? Okay, yes, and then Grand Slam Awards is 1 listing, 1 written, 1 closing, and 1 recruit in July. Byron Haynes, Daniel Power Group, Inscape, and Pantuso Properties. Okay, we have one more. Okay, taking care of business is recruiting an agent in July. is Jill Hamilton, Katie Lira, Russ Kidwell, Bree Williams, Byron Haynes, Denise Zamora, Ashley Pentuso, Barbara Pentuso, and Beverly Wooten. That's a good recruiting group right there. Let's give it a hand. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's our awards for July. Thank you very much. And we're going to take back, probably going to take back, throw it back to Emily, right? Where's Emily? Okay.
Thank you guys. So just want to give y'all some quick training updates so you know what's going on. So you guys know every Monday through Thursday, with the exception of ALC and sales meetings, 10 to 1 o'clock we have an ALC member. So if you guys have questions, you guys need to ask contract questions, stuff about command, anything has to do with KW stuff, come see us. We're here every day, Monday through Thursday from 10 to 1 o'clock. Okay? All right, so mark your calendars. So, Russ, you want to talk about this class?
I would love to. Hey, Southlake. On the calendar every month, you see what's called Interactive Thursdays. It used to just say IT, and people freaked out and thought it meant you have to be like a computer guru. I'm not going to that class. No, that is not what it is. Interactive means it's hand-on instruction. I want to begin by doing a shout out to Kathy Hamilton and to Hector, Vera, Kevin Christensen, myself, and we just now had Kim Bowles. Those Thursday afternoon interactive classes, one will always be the techie stuff on how do I get into Zoom? I'm having problems with command. Is MetroText really trying to screw my business over by not letting me sign into MLS on Saturdays and Sundays? It's a really good class. The next one's going to be all things buyers. Then we have all things sellers. I do what's called wild card. We bring in someone from the outside, and it's anything goes. And now Kim's going to be doing how to build your business and questions about business building. So we're real excited about Interactive Thursdays 1 to 3 o'clock. Tomorrow is a first. We're having what we call a master class. We're bringing in some top-notch outside facilitators that are not necessarily realtors, but what they do ties into our business. Tomorrow we actually have Julie Altimus, who is the Executive Marketing Director for Real Producers Magazine. She's a former newscaster and anchor for Dallas-Fort Worth News Channel. Not allowed to say the name of the network, but you'll know her. She's going to be doing a video welcome you'll see later today on Facebook, and she'll be talking about the portion of the program she's going to do. And you know how in our office we freely give out this guy's name and number and say if you have verbiage you need, and he's always available, doesn't matter the date, time, or even on holidays, call him. It's Matt Schultz. Matt Schultz is going to be one of our facilitators for World Class 2. And I've asked Matt to come up for just a moment and talk to you about what he's doing, but do know they're interactive. These classes are not lecture-based. It's not sit and learn, you do. Studies show that by hearing it, seeing it, and doing it, we retain. And what they're going to be teaching tomorrow is over the top of the direction our marketing needs to be going. Matt.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I've heard y'all have had enough of the lecturing of me talking at y'all, and enough of contracts and legal and title. So I'm going to be talking about artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, and y'all are going to actually get your hands dirty. If you haven't yet started utilizing this for your business, we're going to kind of do some of the gateway drugs to using ChatGPT, okay? Truly. So, writing listing descriptions, which you guys are reading listing descriptions written by robots every single day. Y'all know that, right? How to do marketing campaigns, scripts, doing your biographies. We're going to do a lot of things where we break out into groups and actually put some things into practice, utilizing artificial intelligence to streamline your process and make you better at what you do. So I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, Julie teaching on video and being a newscaster, I didn't know that, but that makes a lot of sense knowing that about her now. So we're looking forward to tomorrow, and I hope to see a lot of y'all there. I promise it will bring value to your business. So join us 1 to 3 tomorrow, DFW Training Room at KW Southlake. All right, thanks guys.
So thank you guys.
I am interested. Who's winning? Who's seen it? Who's coming? Who can I look in the eye and make sure you're there?
Okay. I think we have about a good 20.
This is still, even from 100 yards away, it's hard with Alejandra and her daughter. I'm just like, good, it's the same person twice. I love it. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Okay, so just following up with the updates. So next Tuesday, Jason will be doing his State of the Market. Anything, all those questions you guys have about mortgage, come see Jason, Pam, Sean, all you guys on the 29th of August, 12 o'clock. All right, and then rolling on with more training, right? You guys, this is what y'all wanted. We had a bunch of people ask us about Canva, so we have our Canva Pro, Miss Rachel Sipe, coming to teach you guys all about Canva. That's going to be Wednesday, the 30th, from 10 to 11. And then following up with more social media. Cherry Creek is going to be doing a social media series. And then rounding out that, at 1:30, Emily's gonna be doing that mastermind, the T-Notes class. You guys need to be in that class. Like she said, saving dead money. All right, and then people have asked, so we're putting it again out there. So September calendar, which we're actually working on right now. So updates for September calendar. So many of you guys asked 12-week year. All these are your requests, 12-week year. Lavon is gonna be teaching that on Thursday, 21st. And then many people have asked for classes in Alliance, so we're actually going to be doing the mortgage class. Jason's mortgage class is going to be at the Alliance office. So Monday, September 25th, we're going to bring that class to Alliance, okay? So that class will be at Alliance on the 25th. And then, Joe Hamilton, do you want to talk about your class, Joe? Okay. So contract CE class, okay? 11 to 2. What does the contract say? Many of you guys are asking for contract CE classes, so we have it on September. So mark these calendar dates down, and like I said, we're actually going to be rolling out the calendar next week to you guys. And last but not least, so everyone, if you're not going to come to anything, you need to come to this class right here. We're going to have our top listing panelists. 10 to 2, it's going to be panels after panels of what our top listing agents are doing. To Thursday, September 28th, 10 to 2, and then like I said, the same time, right after that, we're going to also have our potluck as well. All right? And then also, I know Rashay did it earlier, but I wanted to give a shout out to our vendors again for helping us host the Mega Camp dinner. They did a phenomenal job by doing that, so I want to thank again First American, Independence, Old Republic, and Supreme for helping us with that. Thank you guys. And Tommy's next.
Thank you guys. Kathy asked me today, and I love doing this, if you don't ever get to come to our Zoom class on 1:30 that we do for all of our Go Network agents. I do a money market update. As a matter of fact, what I found at Mega Camp is I met more people who said to me, quote, "You're the market update guy. You're the market update guy." Then, hey, you're Tommy Flood, Teresa's husband, or father of the twins, or regional director, or it was you're the market update guy. So I really enjoy spending time researching, looking at market. And how many of you know that this year we're seeing things in the market we've never seen before? And not just the market, but the economy. Like we're seeing generally, right? And I loved Jason and Ram's conversation earlier, because we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And that is, generally when we see rates rise, we watch unemployment follow right in line. Have y'all noticed that rates are have risen for the last year, but unemployment's gone down? It has not happened in the history of tracking mortgage rates nationally, right? Because we've not gotten there yet. It also goes to show us as we look at this, we're going to look at some of Gary's slides, and I want to interpret them a little bit into a hyper-local conversation of DFW, because we just got, I don't know if y'all saw the beautiful news, this is why you feel this. We were just named the second worst city in the United States of America when it comes to housing inventory. Houston only worse. I got great news. And San Antonio third, and Fort Worth fifth. So DFW is really killing it when it comes to inventory available right now. And as we've seen that, even seeing, this is what's crazy, is even seeing a slight tick up in inventory nationwide. We're experiencing a little bit different. And if you guys just want to pull up some of these slides as we go through. So this is annualized home sales. So when we look at annual home sales, then I would point out, like we can look back, we talked a lot about 21, we saw 6.1 million homes sold. Third best year we've ever seen. Right? Last year we closed out 22, even with the climbing rates at 5 million. We're projected this year to finish at 4.3 million homes sold nationwide. To give you a perspective of that, we finished July at a rolling 12 months of 4.2 million homes. So we're seeing it kind of up and down. We're seeing that as it goes. And I think one of the things to look at as we're looking at it, because the KPA, I'm a 9+, like 9.5, almost a 10 in optimism. All right? So I'm not skeptical about anything at all. It's rainbows, unicorns with sprinkles on top at my house. My wife Teresa, also a 9.5 in optimism. So the biggest problem that we have is we think everything's going to work out just fine. And what I will say is, though, you can look up here and see there are many, many years where we've done 4.3 or less sold homes over the last 25 years. And many of those years, some of you had phenomenal selling years in those times. Many of you, and many of our, and if we look at some of the top businesses, and this one I say some of the top businesses in our organization and in the industry, they began an ascent back when 4.2, 4.3 million homes a year were being sold. Back in 09, 08, 10, 11. And we can look up there and see, right, where we had 4.1 and 8, 4.3 and 9, 4.2 and 10, 4.3 and 11. Many of the top businesses, many of you in this room, your business took a turn during that 4 or 5 year window that you took market share, you've never given back. Anybody in here, y'all experienced that back from those days? You saw your business begin to climb. The number one team in our region, Christy Cannon Group, has an expansion team in this office. They grew from being a small little team, you know, that did about $20 million a year. They began the trajectory to selling 1,000 homes a year because of 8, 9, 10, and 11, right? Here's the great news. I don't believe our 4.3 million is going to drag out over 5 years like we're seeing there, but we're projecting that. We're also projecting our NAR and Mortgage Bankers Association is expecting that number to be back at about a 4.5 for 24. So to actually see it lighten and increase. Next slide. This is where we see our home prices. This is one of my favorite slides that Gary shows. Right? Does anybody know what the green arching line in the middle, what that represents? Huh? Inflation, actually home appreciation, but yes, right? That is the 4% line. So historically, we go all the way back even before this. This goes back to 90 when Gary began to do this, but if you go back even there, you can see 90, 91, 92, 93, 4, 5. Historically, we saw about a 4% appreciation every year, right? Until we had the boom of 4, 5, 6. Really, new construction fed that engine, right? We saw so many new homes built. We can just look around our area here, right? The thing about this line that I find is interesting is this is the home prices as we're looking at it, right? We know what happened in 08, and look at the drop that happened and how far it went below that line for years. And I think, what's happened to home prices over the last 10 years? What would one word you would use to describe it? Huh? Increase? What else?
Appreciation.
Appreciation. I would go boom. I don't feel like I appreciate the words of that we said, but like the average home value saw a 26% increase in the United States from January of 2019 to January of 2021. A 2-year window, 26% increase. Remember 4% a year? Right? Right? We went boom in that area. What's crazy about that, if you look at it, is it took until 2021 for us to actually get back above or on par with that 4% line. Even everything that we saw in 2020, everything we saw in 2019, the appreciation, y'all, I know that 2021 was crazy. And COVID caused us all to forget everything that happened before then. But do y'all remember 17 and 18, the appreciation boom that we saw in those 2 years? I know it because I bought my house at the peak of it, June of 2018. What do I mean by that? The average sales price in my neighborhood dropped $30,000 in July of 2018, right? And homes have appreciated 38% since then in my neighborhood, so I'm okay. And you can use my story with your hesitant buyers out there, right? But this is what I think is interesting. The last few years has been such an amazing boom, the last 3 years, that we are actually expected to finish 23 at $382,000 median sales price. That's actually 7% higher than the trend line. We still have so much room in that appreciation world, and we have so much equity. We're going to see a slide here in a minute. That you guys said it, I'm going to say it 3 or 4 more times. Jason, I think they left. But they said it. Quit talking rate. You've got to get your potential buyers and sellers away from talking about rate and into talking about payment. Which is really funny, because what do buyers, what do they buy by? Do they buy a price? No. Do they buy a rate? No. They buy a payment. What can I afford? That's what I want to go look at, and then I'm going to buy. They buy a payment, and all of a sudden, the national news media has allowed our potential buyers and sellers to start talking about rate rather than payment. We're the experts. Get them back to talking about payment. Get them back to talking about payment. Let's look at this next one, right? We can look at new home sales and builder confidence. So builder confidence actually jumped back up. We're sitting at a 56 that's a 56 out of 100. That means on a scale of 1 to 100, they believe that it's a good time to start some new places at about 56. That would be higher. The biggest problem is bank lending right now. Banks are tightening up on them just a little bit. Why is new home construction important to us? And think about the last slide in appreciation. Why is it really important? Inventory, number one. And number two, new homes are the only real throttle on existing home price appreciation. The only thing that's going to slow down existing home price appreciation, which that we said earlier, again, affordability is the issue. Affordability, prices are affected by lack of inventory, which is affected by the fact that I can't sell my house and go buy the same thing that's newer. Right? So new construction is important. Here's a stat for the DFW Metroplex. We're one of the worst states. This is a beautiful thing, yet we're one of the worst metropolitan areas in the country. There's only one builder permit being issued for every 5 new jobs created. Think about that. That's a great stat for your sellers. Why does this market continue? Why do you think this market is going to continue? Why should I sell now, go buy? Because when I buy my new home, it's going to appreciate for me. Is because only one building permit is issued for every 5 brand new jobs created in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Healthy is 1 for every 2. Think about that, right? Let's go to the next one. Mortgage rates on an annual basis. We've seen this. 23, I kind of feel like Gary may be, I'm not questioning Gary's almighty, omniscient oracle of the real estate industry, but 6.6 being the average for the year, I'd be happy if we can end up there. That's going to take a little work for the rest of the year, and I don't know that we foresee that. I also know that there's just as many, again, I don't want to be Debbie Downer up here, or David Downer. And that is, I think we could see 8. So we got to quit talking about rate. As a matter of fact, I had somebody ask me this, and I know that some of you have legitimately heard this statement. What if I say to my seller when they say, why would I want to sell my house with a 3.5% mortgage and move somewhere for a 6.5 or 7% mortgage? I'm not saying that that's not a real statement, but I've heard it so much I finally started asking people this. Has somebody actually said that to you? I've said it twice this week. It's only Wednesday, and both times the person asking me that question goes, no. Well, then why do I need to answer it for you? We're giving each other limiting beliefs by telling each other that stuff is happening. There are 51 million homes in the United States of America that have the mortgage on. 32 million of them, beginning of the year, had an interest rate below 4%. That means 19 million had an interest rate above 4%. Right? That sounds scary on the surface. But if you do a little bit of digging into it, think about it. I had to meditate that a little bit because it kept me up at night. And I thought about it. So they say now the average homeowner stays in their house 9 years. So anytime you see a large number, you just divide it by 9. And that will tell you. So when you see that 19 million homeowners had an interest rate above 4%, you divide that 19 million by by 9, and you come up with 2.1 million. 2.11111111 with a line over the end of one of them, right? 2.1 million homes. How many are we going to sell this year? 2.3 million homes. So that means in the moving world, there'll be first-time home buyers. Let's take those out of there because that's 20% of it. But we're going to take that out of both sides because we need to take that away from the people above 4% too. That means more people are buying a home that have a rate under 4% than are that are buying a home that has a rate above 4%. Did you think about that? That should inspire some hope. If it doesn't, maybe I need to say it again. More people are buying a home that have a rate under 4% than have a rate above 4%. We've got to get our people to stop worrying about, quote, rate. They've never have before. It's always been a payment conversation. And I just wonder, I know nobody in this room, because y'all are smart enough to actually come to sales meetings. No, it's nobody in this room, but I wonder how many of our counterparts out there are allowing the conversation to be dominated by our client rather than us leading them into a conversation of what's important to them. And talking about their payment and their goals, rather than talking about what's an interest rate. Right? I had to quit because I got into this business in 1992 as a mortgage loan officer. I was doing FHA streamlined refis at 8% and people were like hugging me because they were at 13 or 11. And it was the greatest thing ever. They were single digits for the first time, right? And then I realized that just makes me sound like a grandpa. And most of the people who, I'm talking to weren't even in the business in 1992, and they're like, shut up, I don't really care about that. What have you done for me lately? Here's what I'm doing for you today. More people buy a home that have an interest rate at less than 4% than that have an interest rate above 4%. We need to take back control of the conversation and do not hesitate. Just because it's 108 degrees outside, let's not stop doing what matters. This is what's interesting. 39% of homeowners own their house outright, 31% with more than 50% equity, and 30% have less than 50% equity. Right? 80% of American homeowners are equity rich. Equity rich means they have more than half of their home value. Here, as a matter of fact, you pull this up, and let's pull the next slide up and we'll go back to it. Right? So 70% have at least 50% equity in their home. It's actually changed. Your stat is 2 months old. The latest one that Mortgage Bankers Association put out is that 80%, almost 80% of homeowners are equity rich, meaning they have more than 50% equity in their home. The opportunity is we need to focus our efforts on the right people. We need to focus our efforts. We have got, it is time for all of your skill that you have learned over the years of being a member of Keller Williams DFW and everything that the great training has taught, all the conversations with the mega agents. It's time for us to tap into that and say, where is our opportunity? The opportunity is there. We have the opportunity. We've showed this today. Some of the best businesses that we know during the years of 4.3 million or less home sales nationwide grew exponentially and set themselves up. Because we know this is true. Market share we gain in a shift, we never give up. And market shift that we lose in a shift, we never get back. Right? It's time to double down and say, okay, where do I dominate? If you have 10% of a neighborhood, go get 15 now. Because when we go back to 5 or 6 million home sales a year, you'll have that 15 and it'll pay back. Now is not the time, in my opinion, to go try a bunch of new stuff. The stats that are up there tell me it's go double down on what's working for you. Figure out those 2 or 3 things that are really working for us and let's go double down on those. Remember, the top agents in Keller Williams, when surveyed, still 62% of their business comes from their database. 24% of their business comes from open houses. It's 108 degrees outside. Yeah, okay, well, how about a coffee and bagel open house at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning? Right? It's still 9, I don't know, it's still 108 on Friday night, unfortunately, but at least it's not yet. Or how about getting Kona Ice to set out in front of your open house? And you got to go through it and talk to you to get a ticket. I'm just throwing out random ideas just off the top of my head, right? And the third one is internet leads. 14% of their business comes from online lead gathering, right? Are we maximizing our social media outreach? I had one of our agents here, I think I said this at the ALC meeting, one of our agents here asked me, what's the number one thing top agents are doing to get their phone to ring? I had to say, first of all, and I'm going to blame on it because I'd say, well, Paul, we don't get the phone to ring anymore. It's about getting clicks. And I said, but what's always been the number one thing that you do to get the phone to ring? He said, guarantee sell. I said, yep. Are you iFinder certified? Yeah. Are you running social media ads on how you can get multiple offers for somebody with nobody ever coming into their home? No. There's the number one thing you can do to get the phone to ring for seller leads. Right there. Right? All right. Was this valuable for this couple of seconds? Right? I think what we have to do is our mindset is, remember, more people have bought a home this year that have an interest rate of less than 4% than have bought a home that have an interest rate of more than 4%. It's not an unclimbable hill. The question is how fast you're going to hit it running. And this isn't the, we got 4 months that may not look really brilliant. It's not the time to say, I'm going to go try something brand new. What's working right now, and double down on those 2 or 3 things. Make them work. Get really good at those. All right, we have a panel coming up.
Charlie and Marcy, please come to the front.
So we are going to get some mega camp ahas from you guys. It was great seeing y'all at mega camp. I will tell some of those that were there. If you weren't there, you won't understand exactly what I'm talking about, but it's okay. Somebody next to you that was there can tell you. Teresa did tell me that our dinner was the best. All right, she just said that. And the thing that stuck out to her most is she may not have acknowledged you, but she did hear you. As all of you gathered around for photos and different things and said in her ear, the Southlake. Those of you that know, you know. If you don't know, you'll find out sooner or later. But, all right, so guys, I got a couple of questions that I think y'all were given that we just kind of want to talk about. And I'm going to start with one. Marcy, we'll start with you, just straight up, and I will yell for my questions. But I want to ask this real fast. First of all, what was just your overall, this wasn't on the list, so you have to worry about it, overall perception of Mega Camp? What was your experience? Just sum it up in a sentence or two this year. Besides hot. You can't say 109 because
it was actually cold in certain rooms.
It was cold in rooms, yes. Well, the beautiful day last week that it was 95 here, it was still 105 in Austin if you weren't there. So, yeah. So sum it up. What was your experience?
It was good. Greg and I went for the first time in several years, and it was really good. It was exciting, it was invigorating, it was very educational. I liked how they did the speakers and the different sections, and they had them come up and talk specifically about different buckets of our business.
I think to sum it up, I think there's a massive focus on 2 things. One of them was just the simplicity around whatever model it is you're going to use to drive your success. There wasn't a person that spoke, there wasn't a person on stage that didn't kind of have a very specific way of doing it, and that was kind of just what they did. And so Gary really hit that home. And then there was a big focus, kind of in some classes during Mega Camp before and after some things that we did. There was a lot of focus, I feel, on just trying to create some level of balance and harmony while you're also doing all of this. You know, I think Gary knows it's overwhelming to get in front of 2 days, 21 hours of just like, do this, you're amazing, you're gonna be successful, and have people not feel like they just want to like, this is way too much. So I think they really tried to put a little bit of balance into that.
I saw too, just so you know, I know Gary Keller is one of the most purposeful people I've ever seen. Like, I've watched him lead us into a regional director room, open with an innocuous, harmless question, that by the end, everybody is in agreement to do one thing, and then he'll look at the head of legal and go, okay, so the document we prepared earlier will work, let's go. And you're like, you did it. You knew exactly where you wanted us to go, and you just asked one question, and it was a very purposeful question, and it led to a conversation that got everybody on the same page, and it just happened to be the page he wanted on. One of the things I know about Gary is all of his guest speakers have a common theme if you look for him.
Yep, that's the answer to one of my.
Oh, it is? Okay, then I won't answer that then. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, because I'm interested to see what you thought that theme was, because sometimes they're more than ever. It's kind of like, you can, depending on where you're at, you can interpret it a certain way. I had a perspective, and I'll say that when we get there. Okay, so, Charlie, we'll start with you on this one. What's the most influential piece of information you received at Mega Camp?
I really enjoyed the keynote speaker, and I had an opportunity to hear from him again a little bit afterwards for another hour, and so I wrote down a lot of what he did, because there was a whole lot of talk about influencing people, right, versus, they talked about influence versus manipulating, right, and manipulating someone is something that you do to someone, and influencing someone is something that you do for someone. And there was a lot of conversation, and maybe this is what you're going to talk about, so I don't want to talk about it if it is, but just about being in touch intentionally with your database, with the people that you are in contact with, you know, and staying how you speak and how you communicate with people. I thought he was very impactful. You know, he talked a lot about trying to sum this up here in an easy way, but some of the things I liked that he said, you know, with people that appear to be hard. Yeah, this book's called Exactly What to Say. It's just phenomenal speaker. Honestly, this book is meaningful.
On the way home.
Yeah, like really, really impactful stuff. But he talks a lot about connecting with people. And he talked about how when someone appears to be hard, you got to go in through a side door. You can't get in through a front door when someone appears to be difficult. And that the only way to do that is to find their interest and show, you know, and give back to them, maybe even give back without them knowing. And he had a great statement, and he said, it's always the second mouse that gets the cheese. Right? And he said, so sometimes it's good to be strategically second and allow someone else to be like the really annoying first, or whatever it is, and watch what mistakes they make, and you be the second mouse. And as long as, the last thing I'll say on this is in terms of conversing with people, he said there are 3 things that will basically impact every conversation you have. And it says you have to compliment, show recognition, and ask for opinion. And if you can do those 3 things in every conversation, that you will walk away basically the winner. And he gave some hilariously awesome examples just about how he even walks in from like work and talks to his wife and things like that. You know, it was great. So I really enjoyed the aspect of all of us. It's, you know, we can work like rats and mice in the wheel all the time. I've seen so many people work really hard. I don't think people have an issue with working hard, well, some do. But it's really about working smart while you're working hard. And so many people don't do those 2 things together, that they work hard, still don't see the results. And a lot of it's just because of our communication skills.
So just to piggyback on that, one statement that he said about getting into things with people is to find out the context of where they are and what they're doing, and ask the questions before you insert content in your communication. So I thought that was good. But to answer the question, what I wrote down was the plan pouring into the clients and database. And so it goes right along with what you're talking about. There was a lot of information on the database and how to make a difference with your clients. And one of the ladies, she said it's planned pouring into your database. You actually purposefully plan how you're going to communicate, treat them, and all that stuff. And then my second answer to that question was at the CEO Summit on the first day, and it was Gary's list of 12 mistakes that he's made as a leader and as an employer. And it just validates that even as awesome as Gary is, and why would we venture from his instructions and his guidance, because he's done so phenomenally well and is such a phenomenal leader for us, that he too makes some of those same mistakes that we make. And so you just walk away going, okay, I'm not the only one that has been stupid, to say one of Gary's favorite words, in building my business. So
that list of 12 things was very wonderful. And you can get those off of KW Connect and looking at that. I thought they were great. So most of them go keep with you. What was your key takeaway from the economic forecast that Gary gave?
So I wrote down that the unemployment numbers are at 3.6% right now, and so everyone that is employable is actually employed currently. And that equals about 5.9 million people, and there are 4 million jobs available. So there's not an issue with unemployment telling people that they cannot afford to buy a home. So your renters and your different people, the employment rate is good. We don't have a recession in that regard to where there's unemployment causing people to not be able to purchase. They're getting paychecks, they're working. And then the other example that he talked about in that economic thing was the rolling recession idea, which I hadn't ever thought about that. And it's gonna change quarterly, is what Gary thinks. And that we need to be very present in each quarter and prepare for the uncertainty that the next quarter may or may not bring to us. And so when everything's great one quarter, to not get a false sense of security with your production, your bank account balance, all of that stuff, to stay prepared, because the rolling recession is gonna happen in our industry, and we feel it some, right? And then we may feel it in more ways later on, and it may be great in a quarter. And then for that quarter to not give you that false sense of security, and to stay prepared with your budgets. And then that our main clients that we're gonna see actually in the market are ages 26 to 42. That millennial group, they're the ones that we can really count on to kind of carry us and be the main stakeholders for the market right now.
Just to piggyback on both those, I thought it was interesting on the recession comment. He showed a graph of, I don't know who comes up with these graphs, but where it was predictability of a recession. It was like, when did they predict the highest percentage of, hey, there's probably going to be a recession this year? And for 2024, it was the highest it's been since like 2008. So like they're predicting this is the highest, next year's the highest predicting market for a recession that we've seen since the big recession that we had in 2008. So I think that'll be important, just to piggyback on that, as people lose their heads in regards to national news, that we piggyback on what we just talked about. Like, we still have a shortage of inventory, and that was on his graphs too. He said we are still under a 3-month supply of inventory from a nation standpoint, and we might be less here in DFW. So the reality is there's still a shortage of inventory, regardless of rates, regardless of recession, regardless of anything else. There's still buyers and there's still homes.
And just so you know, it's different in every area, but MLS as a whole is right at about 2.6.
That's low.
And I guarantee you, if you get 2.6 months, and if you say, I bet if we went and looked specifically in Southlake, specifically in Keller, we're probably down closer to 2.1, 2.2.
Yeah, which is still a seller's market, like 100%.
Absolutely. Seller's market, increased pricing, high interest rates, perfect storm, and yet we can sell 4.3 million homes, and the people in this room should have more than their fair share of that.
At the beginning of the year, it's important to remember, in January, we looked at every statistic from every major company out there that predicted the annual home growth this year, and not one of them had a positive number. Not one. Not one. Only one even estimated 0, and that was NAR, I think, that we would have a flat line year. Has that been the case? No. No, I mean, like, we've gone up this year, so nobody really knows what they're talking about.
Well, and that's kind of when I started that, you guys. I mean, and Gary talks a little bit about this, is there's so many things that you could look at. There's so many factors that if I took this by itself and said, historically on the chart, this should mean this, then it's not that way anymore, right? Rates going up, prices going up, our home sales going up. I mean, we should not see everything still climbing in appreciation, especially. And here's a crazy stat. We've actually fallen, NAR does everything in 4 regions. The West, the South, the Northeast, and the Midwest. We've actually fallen to the 3rd most, I guess you'd say the 3rd least affordable. 3rd most affordable. We're actually number 3 on those. The South, the Sun Belt, we've been the place that's the cheapest place to live. Affordability is actually number 1, the Midwest now. Number 2, the Northeast. Wages to payments. Number 3, the Sun Belt, the South. Right? But yeah, it's just, there's so many things that don't make sense when you look at the overall side. All right, Charlie, we'll start with you on this one. Several speakers, numerous agent panelists on stage. What was your favorite agent/speaker and why?
For me personally, I really enjoyed the, they kind of tied together. It was marketing for listings and online leads. For me, I really enjoyed both of those. The marketing for listing online leads. I feel like it's so applicable to all of us. And one of the things and I think that's why I like it so much, is because it's what we should be doing out there, right? Leads, listing, leverage. So we should all be lead generating for listings all of the time. And one of the things that, there's so much to share. I'll just share one thing from a lady named Nikki Miller. And what she shared was, lots of times we talk about speed to lead, with whatever that is. But then she also said, it's speed to lead, but speed to face. And I'm like, you've got to go from whatever your level of communication is, whether it's social media, whether it is, email, phone lead, internet, any type of lead that you get, your primary goal is to get in front of their face as quick as possible. And that's why I think open houses can be such an effective method, because you have that opportunity to build a relationship in a way you can't do. And I had a coach one time that did. I thought I was all doing great on social media, getting like 100 responses to this thing, people asking me about this home I had posted, and I'm like, look at all these amazing opportunities. And he said, how many of them have agreed to do anything with you? And I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm not there yet. And he said, okay, so once they respond, he says, once you're into this about two correspondences, you need to ask them for their phone number so you can have a dialogue with them. And that was like some of the best advice I ever received, because it weeded out everybody who was just chit-chatting with me and took up my entire day to respond to. So it was kind of that same concept. And she also said something real impactful, where she said we need to replace the word lead with human being. And, she obviously gave a big panel, but this is a human experience. And she said if you stop looking and treating people like leads, that's kind of how we treat people, a lot of agents. It's like you're only valuable to me if you are a right now transaction. Whereas, hey, you're a human being with an actual problem. And if you're saying no, you're not even saying maybe no to me, you're saying no to it. And not only that, but you're only saying no to it right now. Like, is not every person probably going to sell or buy a home? Like, every single person you meet will end up in that bucket. So if you treat people like, hey, you are a true human being and I want to have a relationship with you, you'll get a lot further.
Yeah, so when she said, these are bad leads, some of her team members, and she was like, so replace that and say, these are bad human beings. No, that's not the case. They're good people. So I put that Ryan Holiday at the CEO Summit was one of my favorite speakers. He was just mesmerizing. I couldn't even write any notes because I just was listening the whole time. And then Phil Jones, the keynote speaker about the communication. I've already started this one book that I held up, and I bought all the books from Ryan Holiday as well, and I've started 2 of those. And I think, that level of talent and instruction and educational people that Gary brings into for us to take advantage of being able to hear it. it puts us in the room with people that just are so inspiring, right? And if we just listen for minimal things, right? We don't have to be as great as they are. We just need to take away 2 or 3, 4 or 5 things that's we're gonna be able to intrinsically internalize and then be able to give back to our people that we come in contact with, that's how the whole world ends up being better. And our best can come through when we get instruction from that level of a person.
Marcia, we'll start with you. What's the one thing you're going to implement?
So it's the database. I'm a big database person. I've built my business on database. Started with the whole Brian Buffini thing. I've stuck with it. I've never faltered from getting my business from my client database and my sphere and the people that I meet. And the section that the panelists that they had come up, several different sections all spoke about staying with the simple fact that database is where the business is and to stick with that. So they had lots of ideas, the VIP program, which I have a VIP program. I categorize my database like the gold, like the Olympic medals, and I've got, you know, the gold and the silver and the bronze people, and you know, I've got that all set up, but that planned pouring and just diving in deeper, go 1,000 miles into someone rather than going 30 miles into a whole bunch of people was one analogy that they used with digging a well. So I'm going to implement more things with my database. I've always thought I did a great job, and I still feel like I do a great job, but boy, how much better can I do? So,
Charlie, what's one thing you're going to?
You know, we do a lot of open houses, and it's a lot of effort to do open houses. And so for everyone that does them, it's, you know, the open house by itself is a relatively passive event, meaning you don't really control how many people come in, but you can still make it a proactive event and still have a great return if you choose to do so. And so given the amount of open houses that we do, even though we've kind of written our playbooks before, it was a good reminder that we needed to sit down and kind of rewrite them. And we did. We sat down yesterday and kind of started that conversation as a team. And so I would just challenge everyone to think about, you know, how do you go from a very normal, average open house? You know, how far in advance are you promoting it? How many social media posts are you doing? How many doors did you knock? How many phones did you call before you ever did that open house? You know, how are you showing up at the open house? Have you previewed the other homes that are similar? Do you have the print-offs of all the other active homes in the area, and have you set aside time to show people those homes after the open house from when you meet them at the open house? And then what's your post-open house plan? How quickly are you texting, calling, writing cards? You know, how are you showing more value than whoever else they think they're working with right now or other open houses they went to? So for as much time and effort as we put into it, we should be converting at a higher level, and it's very possible to do. You're already doing the work, just be smarter about how you're doing it, you know, capture a lot more business.
Question, how many in here feel confidently, you know, keep your hand up if you say yes, that you know what a 7-level open house is? You got a handful. You put it out because we didn't have that many ways to answer. My next question was, how many of you are actually doing that? Right? That's in the book, in the shift book. In a market like this, it gives you a paragraph of how do you run a market. Now, there's probably some tweaks you can do here and there. It's probably a great place to start. Are you at least doing that in your open houses to maximize that in a market like this? I love that. Charlie, last thing. What's something I should have asked you that I didn't?
What was my favorite food there? You know, I guess there was a lot of talk on one aha that I don't usually ever miss a mega camp for family reunion. And so going a lot and the people on stage or the guest speakers at the CEO summit, you know, there is a common underlying theme. that I'll just point out real quick, and that is coaching. You know, coaching skills. Like if you're not trying to increase your level of education and skills at a very intentional rate, you're just going to be behind the curve, you know. And it's the coaching, you never see anyone on stage, whether it's a coincidence or not, but you never see anyone on stage that doesn't have some level of coaching or multiple coaches. And I don't think that's not just luck. You know, those people are investing in their future and in their education, so that they're investing in their clients, right? All of that opportunity, you can be the best agents, and it's helpful if you kind of have somebody outside of yourself saying, this is what, you know, yeah, you're doing okay at this, but you could be doing better. You know, we have 3 coaches on my team, and quite frankly, you know, all 3 are very valuable, but it's opened up so many other doors and opportunities and conversations and connections and networks, that's where sometimes it's like, oh yeah, the coach didn't tell me to do this one thing and this transformed my life, but it is like, hey, this coach connected me with this person, and this person told me something that transformed my life. So just the network, I would just say invest in your education and coaching. There's a lot of that out there.
Yeah, some of them are like, I got 5 coaches. And I'm like, when do you work? But it is, the top producers always stand up there with more than one.
Yeah, and that's 3 coaches for the team, right? You know, so we have like an operations coach, an ISA coach, an agent.
So what did I not ask you?
So it's the theme of the training, and each speaker, I would write down keywords that they would say. And so then when I went back and typed the different keywords that each person said, the word elevate was used in almost every conversation. And that speaks exactly to what Charlie's saying, is that we have to elevate ourselves in order to elevate our business, in order to elevate our clients, and that comes from us getting trained and being skillful and doing our best. And that even when you do your best one time, you can get better. So the words that kept coming around in every conversation, even from the hired keynote speaker, he used the word elevate. Phil Jones did, and then Ryan Holiday did at the CEO Summit, and all of the different panelists, and the guy that does the collective deal from Austin, and all of that, it was uncanny how that word elevate, it was like a buzzword. And you know that they didn't tell them, hey, at some point in your conversation, say the word elevate. You know that wasn't pre-planned, but it just goes to show the level that we have to really work on ourselves in order to stand out.
Love that.
So.
Was this valuable? Give them a big round of applause. So my common theme, and it was a little different, but I did hear that. No, mine was just a tad different, and that was speaker after speaker. And I was thinking keynotes when I was looking at it, but every one of them at the CEO Summit. Tim Tebow on Tuesday night, every keynote speaker, not so much the end, they had a comeback story. Somewhere in there along, they had a comeback story, and it kind of felt like, you know, Gary gave his economic forecast, and he says, we're going to have a rolling recession. We're going to see it. It's going to happen. It's not necessarily getting beautiful and better. And listen to all these comeback stories, because if you elevate what you do, we're going to come back from this. It's not like we're going to stay at 4.3 forever. We're going to come back.
I think wasn't it Tim that said there's no comeback without a setback? Yeah. Right? And so that's just in life in general. Like you can never come back from something that you haven't fallen down from. Yeah. So that was great. I
love that. All right, up there's information for the early bird pricing for Family Reunion, February 25th through the 29th. It's a little bit later this year. I believe that's because in Vegas this year, the Super Bowl is happening as well. And they decided they didn't want all of us there with the Super Bowl because I will speak for myself, I probably wouldn't be at Family Reunion. But there's a promo code, Treasure Chest 23, that you can put in there to get some early bird pricing that expires on September 5th. Charlie said he's never missed a mega camp or a family reunion, especially if you didn't make mega camp this year. It's time to, it is a time to figure out how you invest in yourself to elevate. All right?
All right, guys, thank you.
Am I done?
Yep, you're done. Got lunch in the back.
Yep. lunch in the back. And I just want to say this about Mega Camp. You go to KW Connect. Every single person on stage, they made a one-pager play of what they do to be successful. Their one play they talked about.
It's in our link tree.
It's in our link tree. Here's what I want to encourage you to do. Pick your 2 or 3 things that's working for you, that you're going to double efforts on, and go find plays only about those things right now. Because it's easy to go look at 80 plays and be like, oh, I should do this, and I should do that, and I should do this. What are the 2 things, the 3 things that are working for your business right now that you're going to double your efforts on? Go find the plays about those and see, what in here could I add to what I'm doing? What could I add to open houses to make it better? What could I add to social media to make it better? What could I add to make it better out of this play rather than go look at all 80 of them and jump in from there? All right, let's go eat lunch.
Go on,